Hello. My name's Sam and you're watching So Let's Sparkle with Sam. So today is a nice little video plus tutorial. So I thought I haven't done a tutorial for ages. And that's kind of how I first started in my vlogging, was because I was doing tutorials anyway for a little fabric shop called Always Knitting and Sewing. And so I kind of started my vlogging journey by doing some little tutorials online, and then that's kind of how I got into vlogging. So I thought, I haven't done a tutorial for a while, so that's what I'm going to do today. So if you like the sound of that kind of thing, then give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed, then think about subscribing because it really helps me out. So the tutorial, I'm going to show you what the tutorial is, and then I'm going to pop the video on for that in a little while. But those of you who regularly watch my channel will know that I take part in something called the Great British Swap, and I put all the details downstairs. Sorry, not the Great British Swap, the Great Crafting Swap. I'm getting my sewing bee and my swapping all mixed up together. So I'll put all of the details in the show notes. And so basically it's an online Facebook group that you sign up to, and then you have to sign up to something called Elfster, and then Elfster randomly draws you a person, and then you send that person a crafty gift and you get one sent to you in return, not necessarily from the same person. Now this month it actually went a little bit wrong, but you know, these things sometimes go wrong. And I signed up and everything, but I didn't get a swapping buddy. But fortunately, I don't know whether that's the right word. No, it is. Fortunately, it happened to someone else. So we got together and said, hey, I know it's not going to be anonymous, but hey, would you like if I sent you a crafting gift and you send one to me? And so we did that. So, you know, only a little bit cheating. So the theme this month is summer. So I decided to put a little summer kit make together for my crafting swap buddy. Now Izzy, hopefully you will have got this way before this video goes out, so I'm not spoiling anything for you, but if, I don't know, it gets lost in the post or something like that, then this is what you should have got. No, I'm sure it will get to you. So I have made, the first thing that I've made is this. Now I shall take some better pictures of all of these things so I can show you, but it is a beach bag, and it's from a tutorial that I did for Always Knitting and Sewing, but I did a much smaller tie top bag, and basically all I've done is sized everything up. So it's got a tie at the top. I've also put, because it's bigger and I didn't want it to flap open, I've also put some snap fastenings in it, and then it's a nice big beach bag to take out for a day at the beach or for a picnic. And if you do go on a picnic, then I've also made a little set of 4 napkins, and they say lazy days by the lake, picnic by the river, and things like that. And then I've also made a little kind of storage pod with some Velcro on, with 2 reusable straws. And then I've also made these little cutlery holders, and this is what the tutorial is for. So if you'd like to make yourself some cutlery holders, then keep watching and I will pop on the video of how to make them. So I've made 2 to put as part of the set because I thought it would be nice, you know, you can use them for picnics, but they're also quite handy to take if you take a lunch to work and you want to take your cutlery back with you. Then, and in the video I show you how you can size it up and down. So if you wanted to make it for the straw, you could make it exactly like this, exactly the same, and I'll show you how to size that up. And then the last thing that I popped in is a little bit of an experiment actually, because I love Pinterest, and I sometimes, does anyone else just sometimes go down a Pinterest rabbit hole? And a little while ago I was trying to look for inspiration for the So Fruity challenge, and I thought, oh, I'll go on to Instagram and have a look at what other people have done. And then I just went down this rabbit hole and I don't quite know where I ended up. Anywho, I've made one of these. So it's a little drawstring bag and it has a little tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses, as in the UK would know it as, design. And basically, can you see, I've got a little bit of bias binding and I've just sewn it on, and then I've popped inside some different coloured buttons so that they can play the game on it. But I always thought it would be quite good if this person that's getting my gift has got children, or even, you know, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. I thought it'd be a nice little thing to take on a picnic. You can take this with you, but you can also put in there, you know, a game of cards or something like that to keep them entertained. And then, because when my kids were little, taking food on a picnic was great, but you always had to take something to entertain them. So that was the idea. So that's my little day out picnic kit as my summer swap for my swap buddy. So I thought I'd just share it with you. Bit different video this time, but you know, it's just something nice to share. So if you would like to know how to make the cutlery holder, then yeah, just keep watching. So today in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make one of these lovely picnic pouches. So it's a simple pouch. All of the seams are hidden for popping perhaps some cutlery in for a picnic at the park, or perhaps to take your cutlery for your lunch at work. So yeah, so we're going to make you a little picnic pouch, and here's how to do it. So I've got some strips of fabric and they're 4 inches wide. Now obviously, depending what you're going to put in it, you can very easily change the measurements of this pouch, but this one is going to be 4 inches wide. So the strips are 4 inches wide. I've got strips for the lining and I've got strips for the outer main fabric. Now the lining strips have interfaced just in some medium weight Vaseline interfacing, which you just pop on with a iron, and that just kind of stabilizes it. You can do it without interfacing if you want to. I just find that I get a nicer finish with the lining interfaced. So what we need to do now is we need to decide the measurements for our pocket. So we need to get whatever it is that's going to live in our pocket, and I'm going to measure these. So I'm going to get my ruler, pop my bits on my ruler, measure them, and they're about 6.5, between 6.5 and 7 inches, and I'm going to add an inch. So my pocket piece is going to be 8 inches. And then your main piece needs to be 4.5 inches bigger. So that's going to be 8 inches for the pocket and 12.5 inches for the main fabric. Now obviously you can do it if you wanted to put reusable straws in. You could use those. If you wanted to make a pouch for some scissors or for perhaps some of your sewing tools, then just measure whatever it is that you're going to pop in your pouch. But for this one, I'm going to use my reusable cutlery. And so this one is going to be 8 inches and the main fabric is going to be 12.5. So you need to cut those fabrics. So I'm going to get my main fabric and I'm going to cut a pocket piece first, 8 inches. And then the same for the lining. I need a lining piece that is also 8 inches. And then the main is going to be 12.5 inches. So we're going to pop it on there. Measure it along there to 12.5 inches. And then the same with the lining. And I'm just going to use my main fabric to measure my lining. There we go. So we have our main fabric and we have our pocket fabric. And we're going to make the pocket first. So the one other thing that you will need is that you will need a 4.5 inch piece of elastic. If you haven't got elastic, you could use some cotton twill, ribbon at a push. But I do a lot of knicker making and I always have little bits of elastic left over. So I've just got this lovely red elastic. So what you want to do first is make sure that all of you're happy with your fabrics, that they're going to all be lay the right way, because if you've got directional fabric, you need to find out how you're going to do that. So the pocket piece will end up looking like that on top of your lining, and then this piece will go on like that. So you just want to check that you're happy which way up it is. Now I'm quite happy with that. I don't mind that the writing is the other way round because it's a bit of a kind of free flow. If I was particularly unhappy, I could always flip it round the other way and have it going that way, to which one I preferred. I think maybe I prefer that way, so I'm going to have it going that way. Okay, so let's make the pocket. So we need to put the two pocket pieces right sides together, like so. And then we're going to pop it over to the sewing machine, and then we're going to use 1/2 inch seam allowance and sew across the pocket piece like so. And we're going to back stitch at the beginning and we're going to back stitch at the end. So as you can see, I've done that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up, fold out the seams, fold it back over. As you can see, my interfacing doesn't quite come to the end of my fabric, but it doesn't matter. And then we're gonna just finger press that down. You could pop it to the iron and give it a little bit of an iron, and then you're going to top stitch, just this time just perhaps 1/4 inch away along the top there. So I've now top stitched my pocket. What I'm going to do is from the top stitching, I'm going to measure down 1.5 inches, and I'm just going to put a little mark, 1.5 inches here, because that's where our closer elastic is going to go. And then we're going to get our lining piece of fabric and we're going to pop our pocket onto our lining like so, and then we're going to pop our piece of elastic on to our marks like so, and then you'll want to pin that in place. Or clip it, whichever you feel is more secure. And then you want to pop that to the sewing machine and just baste it on both sides as close to the edge as you can, but just with basting stitches to keep that all in place like so. So there we have our elastic basted in place, so we can take the pin away and we can just trim off any stray threads. Oops, grab that one. Super. And then we need to get our main outer fabric. Now again, making sure that you've got it the right way that you want it, and then pop it right sides facing on top of your pocket piece, and then pin or clip, whichever you prefer, all the way around. And I like to pop a clip where the elastic bits are, because when we sew over them, I like to run over those a couple of times, and if you know where they are, that makes it easier. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way round. So I'm going to start just short of the top edges here, and I'm going to sew back stitch at the top, sew down all the way round and stop back at the top. So you leave this top bit open, but you sew all of the rest. So there you have it. I've sewn all the way around, left the top open. Now I've sewn with 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the edge. It doesn't really matter what the seam allowance is, as long as you're consistent with it, and no more than 1/2 inch all the way around. So I'm going to snip these corners off, and I'm just going to snip the seam allowance off the bottom, and then I'm just going to snip the seam allowance down the side, just to take the bulk out where the pocket is, and also take the bulk out where the elastic is. You don't have to do this bit, but I find you get a slightly neat finish. Take all of those bits away. There you have. So now to the fun bit. We're going to turn it through. So I've got this bit here to turn through, and just wiggle it through. Like so. And then if you need to make sure that you pull it through so the pocket's on the right side. If you don't worry about it. You can just turn the pocket back through so it's the right way. And then get yourself something to poke your pocket corners out. Like so. And then you want to take that over to the iron and give it a really, really good press. So while I was at the iron, I just ironed a crease that was 1/2 inch down from the top. And then you can use that crease to fold your top edge inside and tuck it all in neatly. And again, you can use your pokey tool to help you to get a nice neat finish. And then if you're worried about the neatness of your finish, you could always pop a little bit of fabric glue in there to help you before you sew it. And then you can either use decorative stitch, or you can just use a normal top stitch and sew across the top there to finish it, and then it will tuck through like that. So I like to tuck it through first to decide, because I might decide to put a decorative stitch like I did on this one, or you might just like to do a straight stitch. So there you have the finished picnic pouch, ready to pop in your reusable cutlery and take on your picnic.